Bienvenidos, bienvenidos a su casa, y no puedo estar más feliz de estar aquí con esta gran personalidad, actor, director, productor y escritor de películas. Tenemos al señor Toni Tarantino. Welcome to your home. Thank you so much for being here with us. We are very excited and very happy to interview this amazing personality. He's been an actor, a screenwriter, a producer, and a director. And we have now Toni Tarantino. Hi Toni, how are you doing?
I'm totally fantastic, and thank you for having me here.
Well, we are very, very thankful to you that you allowed us to have this amazing interview with you. But we are very excited and we want to know about you. We know that Toni Tarantino has been here for a long time. So tell us how you started in the movie business.
Actually, from the time I was a child. My dad was an actor in the 30s. He did all these old westerns with Tom Mix, Buck Jones, Tim McCoy. And so I grew up listening to his Hollywood stories. During the war, World War II, my dad was a Marine, a U.S. Marine. He served in Guadalcanal and Iwo Jima. Anything that he had ever done, I had to do. He was my hero. He was an actor, I had to be an actor. He was a U.S. Marine, I had to be a Marine. You know, I am just so in awe of him. I've written a song for him. After he passed away, I call it Daddy's Words. And I plan on even writing a book, titling it The Words My Daddy Said to Me, which is part of my song.
Beautiful. Well, it is amazing, the story, and to meet someone who loves his father like you do is, I mean, he had to have a great impression in your life for you to become who you are right now.
He had a phenomenal influence on me. I mean, from the time I was in grade school, I had to be in school plays. I listened to all my dad's Hollywood stories. I feel like I know Buck Jones. I knew Tom Mix, Tim McCoy. I never met those people. But from the stories my dad told me, it felt like I knew them.
Y amigos, más que nada, permítanme decirles que Toni Tarantino adora y adoraba a su papá. Él era su héroe y lo conoció más que nada pues viendo todo lo que son las películas que él hacía, porque él también era un actor. Toni dice que todo lo que su papá era, él lo quiso ser. Su papá era actor, él se convirtió en un actor. Su papá era un US Marine, él también se convirtió en un US Marine. Y él ha hecho todas esas experiencias que él vivió con su padre, lo han hecho la personalidad que es ahora, Toni Tarantino. So now tell us your acting. When did your acting start?
My first film was in a film called Where the Boys Are. I, in my memory, believe it to be 1958. But on IMDb, they list it as 1960. So maybe, you know, time and age is kind of getting up to me and my memory isn't quite there. But it was one of those two. My dad and I started Tarantino Productions in 1958 as a general partnership. I didn't incorporate it until after he passed away. So I am sole owner and operator of Tarantino Productions.
Since the 1950s, late 1950s, 58 you said?
Yeah.
So that's a long time. So
that's a couple of days, yes.
Your company is being an amazing company ever since.
Yeah.
Which is, you are proud of it, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. You know,
great history.
I've always had a fascination with films. I just love being there. The fame, the popularity, the money, they never intrigued me. But the doing, the art, the presence, the people, that has always totally consumed me. It didn't matter to me in what position or what I did, just so long as I could be there. I'm a graduate of the Pasadena Playhouse College of Theater Arts, got my Bachelor of Arts degree in Theater Arts. And when you graduate from the Pasadena Playhouse, they have a graduation play. Dustin Hoffman and Gene Hackman were both students there. They met there and became lifelong friends from that association there. And when we graduate, we have a graduation play the student body votes on the students that'll play the male lead and the female student that'll play the female lead. Well, the name of the play was Sir Francis Drake, I believe. It starred Zazu Pitts. They always have a headliner. And I won the male lead. I was playing Sir Francis Drake. And this is really cool. I'm standing in left wings waiting for my cue, and my dad is standing right there to the right of me. And being a New York Italian and kind of a smart aleck anyway, I get this crazy idea and I poke him in the ribs with my right elbow, and I said to him, I said, "Hey, old man, tell me something." And he looked at me and smiled, and I said, "Are you going to feel bad? Are you going to get jealous? I get out there and do better as an actor than you ever did." Well, his big blue eyes just got all big, bright, and shiny. He got a smile on his face from ear to ear. He took his left arm, put it around my shoulder, pulled me in really tight, and he said, "Son," he said, "let me tell you something. Men," and this is an exact quote, I'll never forget it, word for word. He said, "Son, men are a lot like thoroughbred racehorses. The proof of a great stud is one that outproduces himself." He said, "Now you get out there and prove to this world what a great stud your old daddy really is."
Wow. That's so nice. And I can't believe you still remember it word by word.
Well, yeah, yeah. But there's very little I don't remember of him and the things that he had said to me. His influence, his guidance, his words, extremely formative in who I am today.
Bueno, amigos, también dice que la compañía de las producciones Tarantino empezó desde el año 1958, aunque su papá ya la tenía desde antes. Formalmente la compañía se hizo de él a partir de que su padre falleció. Y las experiencias que ha tenido en el teatro, en la escuela, cuando estudió para ser actor, han sido increíbles y lo han llenado de increíble conocimiento para llegar a ser, como les comentaba, lo que es ahora. And what year was that about when you...
That would have been 1960.
So my goodness, there's still a lot of Tony Tarantino during all this time. So what happened then after that?
Well, I had done several TV series. I had already done a film. And, you know, I kind of like got into trouble. Zazu Pitts, in the green room, there was an agent there. And Zazu Pitts called me over, they were talking to me, and she introduced me. And after the introduction, he says to me, he said, "Do you know who Colonel Parker is?" And I said, "Well, yeah, that's Elvis Presley's manager. You know, he made Elvis really big." He said, "Well, I can be your Colonel Parker. You be in my office Monday morning at 10 o'clock. So I said, "Okay." I looked at Zazu Pitts, and she said, "If anybody can do it, he can't be there." So I said, "All right." So 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm in the office of Henry Wilson. Henry Wilson at the time was agent for Rock Hudson, Jim Nabors, and several others. So I'm standing there in his office, and he gives me this whole big speech. And he says to me, he says, "We sign a contract. We will go down to Rodeo Drive. We will buy you a new car. It'll be yours. I'll pay for it. We'll get you a whole new wardrobe. It'll be yours. I'll pay for it. And when you start earning money above and beyond my 10%, I'll take a little payback for what I spent in promoting you." So I said, "Okay, fine." And we go through all of this. And he says, "Where do you live now?" I said, "Well, it's the dorms at the Pasadena Playhouse." He says, "Can you move out?" I said, "Yeah, my time is up. I can move out." He said, "I want you to move into my house." He said, "You will be seen with only the people that I have you to be seen with. You will go to parties, so the parties that I put together for you." And I said, "Fine." And he said, "One other thing." I said, "What's that?" He said, "You will treat me like your best girlfriend." And now I'm 20 years old. I had no idea. And I looked at him and I said, "Well, I don't get it. I don't understand. We're both men." he proceeded to explain in detail what he meant, and I came up and hit him. He went flying over his desk. He got up, took out a handkerchief, wiped his mouth, and says, "You'll never work again in this town." And he said, "Forget New York. You don't have a shot there either." I was working on a lot, I believe at Paramount at the time, on a series. 2 days later, they called me in. I was released. I lost a couple of TV series, and I lost a part in a film. And so I said, okay. So I changed my name. I started calling myself Tony Morrow, all right? And I started working as Tony Morrow. One day I'm on set, and a grip comes up to me, and he says, "Hey, Tony." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Is your real name Tarantino?" And I said, "Yeah." I was off the set that night. So then from there, I went to work behind the scenes. I put together a portable body shop. I believe I was the first ones to ever figure out how to do TIG welding, MIG welding on outside. And I did films like The Hidden with Michael Neary. I did all the Ferraris. I did everything. So I just worked behind the scenes. I liked being in the industry, and that's all that was important to me. And I didn't get another shot until Quentin's fame. Now, all of a sudden, the name Tarantino had some real value, all right? And so, boom, now I start getting calls as an actor, as a director, and what have you. And the reason was they could buy the name Tarantino for a hell of a lot cheaper than they could buy Quentin.
Right,
and so that kick started me again. And hey, kid, Quentin, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not, you did help in my career. You know, so.
En estos días vemos muchas cosas sobre la sequía, pero Tucson Water está preparado. Nosotros nos hemos preparado por décadas. Tucson tiene 3 diferentes fuentes de abastecimiento de agua y nosotros almacenamos cerca de 47 billones de galones de agua cada año. Usted puede hacer su parte al colectar agua de la lluvia y al usar agua reciclada. Tucson Water ofrece seminarios gratuitos y reembolsos para usted. En Tucson Water estamos trabajando con ustedes, nuestros clientes, para asegurar agua de calidad utilizable para el futuro.
Well, now that you've gone through that period on being behind the scenes, what is next?
What's next?
Yes.
My own films.
Your own films.
That I have written. I've got a big one now, titled Prism. And it's based on a true story about an undercover detective out of Tucson, Arizona, that infiltrates the Sonora drug cartel headed by El Chapo Guzman. So the characters were real people, and the events really did happen. I did take some creative artistic liberties to make it more exciting and what have you. So I get it from point A to point B a little differently, but I stuck to the true facts.
We're very excited about this incredible project because it seems like it's getting some attention already. And I think that in my opinion, I think it's going to be great, and I can hardly wait to see the whole production. So where are you now on it? I know that there's the story, like you said, is
we plan on rolling cameras for May. We plan on having the film released theatrically in December. I do have a distribution contract in force. We are guaranteed 3,000 screens across the U.S. and 6,000 more internationally. The only thing that's holding me back right now is money. So if anybody's got $55 million they want to send me and, be part of the project, welcome aboard. But and we're working hard on that now.
Well, that's anything we can do to support that. We know it's going to be a great film. And where is it going to be shot?
Originally, I wanted to shoot it where the real events took place. Tucson, Arizona, Nogales, Arizona. And back when I started negotiating with Arizona, they were offering a 30% tax rebate or some form. They have since dropped it. And now New Mexico has turned around and offered, I think, 30. And so I'm going to wind up shooting it in New Mexico.
How many people, just to run sort of like a close number, will be involved in the production?
The production will totally employ about 300 people.
300 people.
Yeah.
That is an amazing crew. I mean, and from actors to...
That's everything, technical crew, pre-production people, post-production people, editors, designers, set directors, you know, everybody in the industry.
Where does Tony get all the energy to keep moving forward and create these amazing projects?
It's genetic.
It's genetic.
Yeah. That and a good multivitamin, what can I tell you?
And so it's genetic, and mostly that you like what you do. You love what you do.
Exactly, yeah.
Like,
you know, on Entertainment Tonight,
yeah.
They asked me, the last thing she asked me in the interview, she says, Tony, if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would we see you doing? And I just smiled and said, probably pushing a shopping cart down Hollywood Boulevard.
You're amazing. So prison now being your main project.
Yes, that's correct.
I assume it's taking a lot of your time.
100% of my time.
100% of your time.
Yeah, and even more than that, it's just, I mean, I'm in negotiations with funders constantly, with attorneys, with contracts. It's an uphill, never-ending battle.
Right, for anybody who thinks that producing a movie is easy, it just takes a lot of work. And how many hours of work would you say, you know, are done in it to put, what is it going to be, a 2-hour film?
Yeah, it'll be a 2-hour film.
How many hours?
You know, it depends. If you start counting the hours from the time I started it, I've been working on this now for 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. To finally, through principal photography and then into post, 1,000,000 hours.
It's amazing. I mean, it started from one little idea. And what made you get or think of Prism as a project? Where did it start?
It started with the writer of the novel, Thomas J. Nichols, who wrote the novel Color of the Prism. A phenomenal novel. He had great success with it, made the bestsellers list with it. He contacted my agent and said, wanted to know if I would be interested in writing the screenplay. He'd love to see that novel turn into a screenplay. My agent gave me his name and number. I called him, we talked, and he overnighted the novel to me. I read it that night, called him back and said, I love your novel, it's a great story. I'd love to write the screenplay. So he flew out, and we met and we talked about it, and I wound up buying the rights to the novel.
So you really went for it. Because to you it was a great project to bring to the screen.
Right. The novel is really good. And that's what really sold me. I read that, knowing it's a true story. It brings in everything up to Fast and Furious, the shooting of Agent Cherry. There's every police authority across the nation backing this film up right now. I went ahead because Quentin, back in, when was it, August? It was October 18th, he came out in New York and made some horrific statements about police. He called all cops murderers, and that just infuriated me. I have a whole lot of family that were PD. I had 2 cousins on my father's side of the family that were NYPD. Both made it to retirement. One a lieutenant horseback cop, the other one a lieutenant detective. I had 2 cousins on my mother's side of the family. One was called into the Columbia riots, had his back broken 3 places, is a paraplegic to this day, and another killed on duty. And I saw what those families went through. Kids growing up, 4, 5, 6 years old, and their daddy has been killed. That is so much tougher than, say, a divorced family.
Yes.
You know, it's a whole different story. These kids never get past the want, the need, the desire for that parent.
Right.
And they never get a satisfaction.
Yes, yeah, that's very, very sad.
So because of that, and because of what he did, and I came out very heavily against what Quentin had said publicly, NYPD published a big article, did a big interview, and it went viral. The New York Post, the New York Times, everybody picked it up. And because of that, somebody said something to me, and I said, you know what, I tell you what, I will put my money where my mouth is. I pledge 10% of the net profits from this film to police authorities across the nation.
Thank you so much. That is so honorable.
For families of officers that are disabled or deceased on duty. None of that money is to go to any administrative whatsoever. It goes directly to the families and children of these officers that have been disabled or deceased.
Well, that's why we all need to support your project, because if that helps those families that have been in, and it's like you said, it's a horrible experience to go through that stays with them in their lives. And in reality, those are our true heroes.
Right, exactly.
Those are the people that we need to honor.
Exactly. It's, you know, police officers, I don't care what their organization, whether it's a PD, sheriff's department, marshals, whatever they are, border patrol, these people are putting their lives on the line every day. Yes. When an officer walks out on the street in blue, he doesn't know that some idiot is going to drive by and shoot at him. It's happened, what, 6 times already this month. You know, and it's something you have to live with. Police officers, just like anybody else, there are some idiots out there, there are some bad guys out there. There are police officers who have and probably still will commit crimes. But those people deserve to be put through the system the same as any other criminal, be charged, be prosecuted, and sentenced to whatever is acceptable by law. Yeah. But that doesn't make the entire organizations across the country bad people. You know, everybody today is pro-military. You hear all of this, thank you for your service to servicemen everywhere, right? The United States Army has Leavenworth, and it's full to capacity with Army criminals, the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Air Force. They all have big federal penitentiaries, and they are filled to capacity. Does that make every serviceman a bad guy, an outlaw, because a handful have committed crimes? Right. It's no different than everyday society. You got good people, you got bad people, you got idiots. Exactly. And then you got angels. Right. Yeah. You know, and it's the angels, the good guys in the military, in the service of the country through police protectiveness that we have, that keeps us sane. Yes. We are a country of laws, and those laws need to be observed by everybody. Exactly. We do have the Tucson Police Department come to our show because, in my opinion, we need to show them as, like I said, the true heroes of our city. They do protect us all the time. Exactly. Strange thing is, if we feel that we're in danger, who do we call? And Tucson Police Department is a great part of this story. Yes. This is where it all happened. It was the Tucson Police Department that had their drug task force, where all of this transpired. Well, what a great cause, and including me, I'm very, very thankful for you thinking of them, because, like I said, I think it's very important to have someone to create these projects in order to help and give something back. You bet, you bet. You know, what it is. I don't care if people believe it, they don't believe it, whatever. But money to me is not that important. It's just a tool like any other. And if you can use some of it to do some good, to help somebody else, then that's what it's all about. Great. So, when are we going to be able to see Prism? Will it come in December, I think you mentioned? Yeah, December of this year. December of this year. So, you know, you need to stay tuned to be able, because we're going to give some
the premiere and talk about the premiere and everything that you're going to be doing
Right.
about it, right? It's going to be very exciting.
Well, I'm excited about that. I'm such a fan of the films from the 30s and 40s, you know. To me, that's when film was at its best. Film was story-driven. Actors were character-driven. The characters totally related to the story. The story wrapped around the characters. Very little special effects. You didn't have excess and all of that kind of thing that you have today. So what you saw was more real. An actor portrayed a character that had definite input to the story, and that excites me. And one of my favorite films, everybody's familiar with Gone with the Wind, from, I think, when was that, 1937? Well, I want that kind of a premiere. You know, at Chinese theater, the big red carpets, the searchlights, the roped-off areas, the police everywhere, you know, and a big fanfare. That's really what I see. I love the 40s era in film.
Tony, thank you so very much.
My pleasure.
We appreciate it, and we'll see you pretty soon, and thank you for being part of Bienvenidos a Su Casa.
Oh, thank you.
Bueno, amigos, espero que les haya gustado esta entrevista. Hope you enjoyed this interview. We're going to have it on your screens, give you all the information, and stay tuned because we have Prism coming on December 2016. See you, and Bienvenidos a Su Casa.
We have stunning news from the embattled Mexico border.
Police are calling it a possible grenade attack.
The city of Juarez, Mexico has now logged more than 2,000 murders this year, making it the deadliest place in the world.
President Felipe Calderón's war on drugs is failing.
We have a war going on between two very powerful drug cartels.
Narcotics today are bigger business than ever, with operations in nearly every major city in the U.S.
These two drug cartels used to be partners. It's been very difficult to stop the bloodshed.